Yo, what is up? This is Devin of Garbage Squad, and going to be doing a deck profile on my Mutant deck. And I know a lot of people are playing like very pure and like control-based Mutant decks, but for this one, I decided to do something a little bit different. And I could be wrong, but I'm fairly confident that I'm one of the first few to actually explore this idea for mutants. And I wanted to get this deck profile out sooner, but I mean, it's just. I'll explain why I couldn't get this deck profile out sooner as we go through it. But yeah, wanted to get this deck profile out sooner, but yeah, just couldn't. But yeah, anyways, this is a deck that I've been kind of tinkering with and like messing around with, trying to like fix it to the best as I can make it. And I think currently I have it at a build where I feel like it's fairly solid. It's good for now, at least for me. Like it feels good. And yeah, I don't know what else to say, so let's just go ahead and get into it. Alright, so first off, we're going to be running triple copies of Myutant MO5, and then we're also running triple copies of Myutant ST46. So yeah, this is just standard MO5 on normal or special summon. It adds a mutant monster from your deck to hand. And the ST46, same thing, but it adds a mutant spell or trap from your deck to your hand. And they both share an effect where you can tribute this card and banish a card from your hand or field. And then special summon one monster from your hand or deck based on the banished card. So if you banished a monster, you special summon Myutant Beast. If you banished a spell, you special summon Myutant Mist. And if you banished a trap, you can special summon Myutant Arsenal. And those are the three main deck boss monsters that we run in the deck. And you do have to play them, unfortunately. Otherwise, mutants kind of just, they don't really function too well. So you have to play at least 3 bricks in this deck. It hurts when you draw them, but at the same time, like I said, you need them. But yeah, continuing on, I am playing 2 copies of Myutant Beast. I feel like 2 copies is the correct amount, because I find myself wanting to go into multiple copies of Beast, or wanting to go into Beast when my Beast is already banished, or something like that, or if it's in the graveyard. So Myutant Beast at 2 is probably where it's at, for my personal opinion. For those of you who do not know what this card does, cannot be special summoned except with the effect of a mutant card. Your opponent cannot target this card with monster effects, and you can only use each of the following effects of Myutant Beast once per turn. When your opponent activates a spell card or effect, quick effect, you can banish one card from your hand or field, negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card. If this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can target one of your banished mutant traps added to your hand. And Myutant Beast is a 2400 beat stick and wall. And like, I'm not even gonna lie, the main reason why I wanted to build this deck is because Myutant Beast, like the fact that Beast kind of like resembles Venom from Marvel. So yeah, this was literally the main reason why I wanted to build this deck. And like the MO5 and SD46, they're like the symbiotes inside the tanks. So yeah, it was just a really cool idea to me, especially with me being a fairly big Venom fan. So, and then we play 1 copy of Mutant Mist, and then we're also playing 1 copy of Mutant Arsenal. So Mutant Mist and Arsenal, they share the same thing as Mutant Beast, cannot be special summoned except with the effect of a mutant card. And then Mutant Mist specifically, your opponent cannot target this card with spell effects. And then when your opponent activates a trap card or trap effect, quick effect, you can banish 1 card from your hand or field, draw 2 cards. And if this card is destroyed by your opponent's card, you can target one of your banished mutant monsters, add it to your hand. 2700 beat stick and 2900 wall. And then we got Mutant Arsenal. Your opponent cannot target this card with trap effects. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can banish 1 card from your hand or field, then target 1 monster on the field, banish it. And then if this card is destroyed by your opponent's card, you can target one of your banished mutant spells, add it to your hand. 3k beat stick and only 1000 defense. So out of the 3 boss monsters, Beast is the only one that can actually negate stuff. Mist, if your opponent activates a trap card, you can just banish a card and then draw 2. And then Arsenal, if your opponent activates a monster effect, you can banish a card or banish a monster on the field. And that is going to be it for the Mutant monster lineup for the main deck. We are playing triple copies of Dogmatika Ecclesia. We are playing with the 1 Fleur-de-Lis, and I am playing 2 copies of Maximus. So yeah, I am playing a Dogmatika package in here, or engine, because with the Dogmatika stuff in here, it actually helps summon out Mutant Ultimus a lot easier and a lot quicker. Whereas for most pure mutant decks, typically they'll just get out Mutant Synthesis instead, a lot more than Ultimus. Like, for you to get Ultimus out, it would take you like a few turns to actually like set it up. And another thing, one of the main reasons why I actually couldn't build this deck and get the deck profile out sooner was because the Ecclesias and the Fleur-de-Lis were way too pricey when I thought of this idea for this deck. I just couldn't get my hands on the cards. But then the 2021 Megatons came out and they actually had reprints for the Ecclesias and Fleur-de-Lis, and it dropped their prices by a lot. So yeah, fortunately I was actually able to pick up my copies of Ecclesia and Fleurs, and the Maximus wasn't really all that expensive. But yeah, this was one of the main reasons why I couldn't get this deck profile out sooner. And then to end the monster lineup, I am playing two I almost said two quick Veilers. Two effect Veilers. You could easily switch these out for Ash Blossoms. It's just, I'll be dead honest with y'all. I was just too lazy to bring out my Ash Blossoms. Yeah, so yeah, double effect Veiler. Again, switch it out for Ash Blossoms if you feel like it. But at the same time, effect Veiler also can kind of come in handy because of it being a light attribute. And you'll see why in a bit. Onto the spells, I play triple copies of Mutant Evolution Lab. So this card, I wish it was better. I know a lot of people are playing it at like 1 or 2, but I played 3 of it because it is a combo piece. So for those of you who do not know what this card does, when this card is activated, you can special summon one of your level 4 or lower mutant monsters from your hand, or that is banished. And then mutant monsters you control gain 100 attack for each of your banished mutant cards with different names. And then once per turn during your main phase, you can place one mutant monster from your hand on the bottom of the deck, and then if you do, draw a card. So this can help get your mutant bricks out of your hand into the deck and then draw a card. And then I'm playing 2 copies of Mutant Fusion. My very first builds of mutants, I actually only ran 1 fusion, but as I continue to playtest with it, I feel like 2 Mutant Fusions is probably where it's at as well. Because Mutant Fusion, it's kind of like, I guess, like a worse version of Shaddoll Fusion. Because for Shaddoll Fusion, if your opponent controls a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck, you can also use monsters in your deck as fusion material for the fusion summon. But Mutant Fusion, it's if your opponent has activated a card or effect this turn, you can use up to 1 monster each from your deck and graveyard as fusion material. So yeah, for this to make sense, I should probably read the whole thing. Fusion summon 1 mutant fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing materials listed on it from your hand or field. And then yeah, if your opponent has activated a card or effect this turn, you can use up to 1 monster each from your deck and graveyard as fusion material. So Mutant Fusion, again, it's kind of like a worse version of Shaddoll Fusion, but it's still really good in my personal opinion. I actually enjoy drawing it and using it, because it actually combos well, not really combo, but it actually works well with Mutant Cry. So on your turn, you can use Mutant Fusion, banish your materials, get out whatever Mutant Fusion monster you need, and then you have Mutant Cry set. And then during your opponent's turn, you can activate Mutant Cry, shuffle back those materials that you just banished with Mutant Fusion, and then get out another Mutant Fusion monster. So Mutant Fusion, I actually really like it. I understand why people run it at 1, but again, I feel like 2 is probably where it's at. 3 might be a little bit too much, but I mean, I haven't tried it, so I don't know. If it works, it works, but for now, I feel like 2 is just fine for me. And then I'm playing 2 copies of E-Telly. I mean, yeah, you have to. They literally search out and special summon your starters, so it's like you have to run this. And then I am playing triple copies of Nadir Servants, but my 3rd copy, I don't own a 3rd copy, but yeah, this is supposed to be a Nadir Servant. And then I run 2 copies of Super Poly. Helps us get around things like Dragoons or DPE and stuff like that. And then I play 1 Called by the Grave to end off the spell lineup. Then onto the traps. I play triple copies of Mutant Cry. This is one of your main fusion cards that you're going to want to use. Basically your main polymerization card that you want to use. Honestly, you play a lot more on your opponent's turn than you do on your actual turn. Because your turn, you just set up your stuff. And then on your opponent's turn, that's when you actually start activating and popping off. So for Mutant Cry, for those of you who do not know, during the main phase, fusion summon 1 mutant fusion monster from your extra deck by shuffling the fusion materials listed on it into the deck among the cards on the field, in your graveyard, and or face-up banished cards. So Mutant Cry is actually really busted. So if you can just banish like all your stuff, all your mutant stuff, you can just use Mutant Cry, shuffle it all back, and get a fusion summon out of it. And then we also run triple copies of Mutant Expansion. I did have a build at one point where I actually cut this card entirely, but because of how slow this deck is and how inconsistent it is to see your starters, I feel like we have to run triple copies of expansion, because expansion, it also searches out your starters. So when you activate this card, you can take one level 4 or lower mutant monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or special summon it. And then its on-field effect, because it's a continuous trap. If a level 8 or higher mutant monster or monsters you control would be destroyed by card effect, you can banish this card you control instead. So it has a really nice protection effect, I guess. And then I play 2 copies of There Can Be Only One. I would play 3 if I can make room, but yeah, we need the space for cards to out things or make the deck as consistent as possible. So yeah, only 2 There Can Be Only Ones. And then to end the main deck, I am playing 1 Shaddoll Schism. So this is also another reason why I couldn't actually build this deck and get this deck profile out, because Schism, a little bit too pricey for a one-of, in my personal opinion. Yeah, I had to wait till the Megatons for 2021 to come out so I can get my copy of Schism. So for the extra deck, I'm playing 2 copies of Mutant Synthesis, and this is just a little pet peeve of mine. So it kind of annoys me when people say, or people pronounce his name as Mutant Synthesis. It's like, it's Mutant Synthesis. It's literally an English word. Why are people saying synthesis? Yeah, it's just a small little pet peeve of mine. But anyways, so what Synthesis does is it needs 2 monsters, or 2 mutant monsters with different attributes, which is very easy to make because pretty much all your mutant monsters are different attributes except for the starters. If this card is fusion summoned, you can target 1 card on the field, destroy it. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can activate this effect. For the rest of this turn, this face-up card is unaffected by the effects of an opponent's card of the same type, monster, spell, or trap as that card. So the wording is a little weird, but for example, if your opponent activates a monster effect, you can chain Synthesis, and Synthesis is now unaffected by monster effects for the rest of this turn. Same thing if your opponent activates a spell card or effect. You can chain Synthesis. Synthesis is now unaffected by spells, and then traps, unaffected by traps if you chain. So yeah, that's pretty much all what Synthesis does. And if it's destroyed by your opponent's card, you can add 1 of your banished mutant cards to your hand. And then I'm playing triple copies of Mutant Ultimus. So Ultimus at 3. In a pure build, you probably wouldn't be running triple Ultimus. In most pure builds, you probably won't even be summoning Ultimus too often. But in this particular build, having 3 Ultimus is actually very nice, because we can use Maximus to actually dump Ultimus to the graveyard. Because then we'll have mutant monsters in the graveyard to set up for the Ultimus fusion summon. And for those of you who do not know what Ultimus does, so Mutant Ultimus is basically a better version of Invoked Mechaba. So yeah, this card needs 3 level 8 or higher mutant monsters to fusion summon this card. When a card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can banish 1 mutant card from your hand, graveyard, or face-up field of the same type, monster, spell, or trap. Negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card. So yeah, if your opponent activates a monster effect, you can banish a mutant monster from your hand, grave, or face-up field. Negate the activation and banish. Same thing for spell cards and trap cards if your opponent activates. And then if this card is destroyed by your opponent's card, you can add up to 3 of your banished mutant cards, up to 1 each of monster, spell, and trap to your hand. And then for like Maximus and Nadir Servant targets, we play 1 Entis, 1 Titaniclad, and 1 Deep Sea Prima Donna. So this was honestly a little weird to me when I saw some people playing this in like Dogmatika engines. So Deep Sea Prima Donna is actually not too bad, because if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 of your banished cards and shuffle it into the deck. So it helps recycle your banished stuff that you wouldn't typically be able to recycle. Like for example, I've had a couple of opponents actually banish my Schism from my graveyard or on field, and then I'm like, okay, well now pretty much like half my extra deck is pretty much useless now. So yeah, we would send Prima Donna effect to target the Schism, then bring it back to the deck. And sure, like we would have to hard draw it again, because at that point we probably wouldn't have access to Apkalone, which we do play Apkalone, 1 of, as well as the rest of the Shaddoll package. And then I'm also playing 1 Starving Venom for the Super Poly target. And then I'm also playing 1 Salamangreat Almirage. This is supposed to be a Secure Gardener, but I just don't have it yet. So yeah, I proxied it with Lingaribo. So Almirage and Secure Gardener, these are actually like really good cards. Really helps make it so like if we have a bad hand, this kind of helps us make it better, or to make it playable. So let's just say, for example, if you have one of your mutant starters and Dogmatika Maximus, if you normal summon your mutant starter, attempt to activate its effect, and let's say your opponent, I don't know, Ash Blossoms or negates its effect or something like that, you can link it off into Almirage, and then link Almirage into your Secure Gardener, and then banish the Almirage in the graveyard to summon Maximus. And then pretty much right from there, you have your Maximus set up for Schism. Use Maximus to send Apkalone and Titaniclad. Apkalone will search out Schism for you. And then end phase, Titaniclad can summon Ecclesia. Ecclesia searches out Fleur. So yeah, this just really helps in terms of like playing through your opponent's interruptions. And then to end the extra deck, play one Cross Sheet. I gotta be honest, I rarely make it. But if all we have is our mutant plays, then we will probably sometimes use this. And I'll actually show you guys that in the combo section. Alright, that's it for the extra deck. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and show a couple of combos here. So for this first combo, it's going to be a 2-card combo with Myutant M05 and Myutant Evolution Lab. So this is basically going to be your mutant play if you don't draw into any of your Dogmatika stuff to help you like extend further. So what you want to do is normal summon the Myutant M05. M05's effect will allow you to search out your Mutant ST46. And then what you want to do is use Mutant M05's effect to tribute itself, banishing the ST46 from your hand to special summon Mutant Beast. And then from here, you want to activate Mutant Evolution Lab. Evolution Lab's effect, special summon your ST46 that's banished. And then on summon, 46 effect will let you search out your Mutant Cry. And then from here, there's like different ways that you could go about this. The first thing you could do is just set Mutant Cry, use 46 effect, tribute yourself, banish the Evolution Lab to summon out your copy of Mutant Mist from your deck. And then you have the Mutant Cry set and then pass turn. Or another thing you could do is you could use 46 and Mutant Beast to go ahead and link off into your Cross Sheet and then pass turn. And then pretty much whenever you feel like it, activate Mutant Cry. So we're going to shuffle back Mutant Beast and Mutant ST46 to go ahead and summon out our Mutant Synthesis. And then since a fusion monster was summoned to a zone that Cross Sheet points to, we will use its effect to special summon Mutant M05 from the graveyard. And then on summon, Mutant M05 will allow us to add a mutant monster from deck to hand. So we're going to go ahead and add our ST46 to set up pretty much another Mutant Cry for next turn. So yeah, if we go into Cross Sheet, this pretty much just helps us get follow-up for the next turn. Alright, so for this next combo, we're going to be needing ST46, Nadir Servant, and a random card. And this can be literally anything. It's just something to put or to discard for Apkalone. So yeah, we're going to start off by activating the Nadir Servant. We're going to dump Mutant Ultimus, and then we're going to go ahead and add ourselves a Maximus. Maximus effect will banish the Ultimus from graveyard to special summon Maximus, and then activate Maximus effect to dump the Titaniclad and Apkalone. Apkalone's effect will activate, allowing us to add our Schism from deck to hand, and then ditching a card. Then we will normal summon ST46, allowing us to add our Mutant Cry, and then we will use 46 effect to tribute itself, banishing the Maximus to special summon Mutant Beast. So now we have a spell negate, and then we'll set Mutant Cry, set Schism. End phase, we will use our Titaniclad's effect in graveyard to then special summon out our Dogmatika Ecclesia. Ecclesia's effect will allow us to search out our Fleur, and then we pass turn. So for our opponent's turn, we can use Mutant Beast to banish itself, to negate a spell card that our opponent activates, and then banish it. And then we also have Mutant Cry. We can shuffle back, we'll actually shuffle back Beast and ST46 to go ahead and fusion summon into Mutant Synthesis to pop a card. And then we also have Schism. We can banish the Apkalone and the Titaniclad from the graveyard to then special summon out our El Shaddoll Winda. And then we also still have Fleur in our hand, so we also still pretty much have another monster effect negation. And that's pretty much what this combo is going to look like. Alright, well, that is going to do it for my Mutant deck profile. But anyways, thanks so much for watching this video. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the deck in the comments below. And yeah, this is Devin of Garbage Squad signing out. Peace.